What do you say when your star player's agent basically admits your club was just a stepping stone? Well, Newcastle United are finding out the hard way, and let me tell you, the Magpies are not happy. Sandro Tonali's agent just dropped an absolute bombshell that has Street James Park buzzing for all the wrong reasons, and Man United and Man City are circling like vultures. Stick around because this transfer saga is about to get messy, and before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest football transfer news and drama. Let's get into it. Right, let's talk about what's got everyone talking in the football world today. Giuseppe Riso, the agent of Newcastle United's midfield maestro Sandro Tonali, has just given an interview that sent shockwaves through Tyneside and left the Newcastle hierarchy absolutely fuming. And honestly, when you hear what he said, you'll understand why the club's top brass are reportedly exasperated with these latest comments. Speaking to Italian publication Calcio and Finanza, Riso didn't exactly mince his words when discussing his client's move to Newcastle. He essentially painted the Magpies as a convenient stepping stone rather than a destination club, which is a brutal assessment given Newcastle's ambitious project and the astronomical £64 million they shelled out to bring Tonali from AC Milan. Think about that for a second. You pay over $60 million for a player, give him a contract until 2028, invest in his development through a difficult period including his betting ban suspension, and then his agent comes out suggesting it was all part of a master plan to use your club as a launchpad to somewhere better. That's got to sting, right? Riso's exact words were particularly revealing. When asked about the Newcastle transfer, he stated, "The deal came about because a club like Newcastle with unlimited financial resources had decided to invest in Sandro. We considered the idea of having the player play in a higher level league." Now, that's already a bit cheeky, but he didn't stop there. He continued by saying, "Exactly, that was the goal from the moment he went to England, to try to make him a star player." So basically, from day one, the plan was never about building something special at Newcastle. It was about using the club's considerable financial muscle and Premier League platform as a vehicle to elevate Tonali's profile before engineering a move to what Riso clearly considers a more prestigious destination. You can imagine how well that's going down in the Newcastle boardroom right now. This is a club with serious ambitions, backed by the Saudi Public Investment Fund, competing for Champions League places, and they're being treated like some sort of finishing school for elite talent. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. While Arsenal sources have apparently made it clear that Tonali isn't on their radar, two Manchester giants are very much in the picture. Both Manchester City and Manchester United continue to be heavily linked with the Italian international, and Riso's comments have only added fuel to that particular fire. Manchester City, with Pep Guardiola constantly looking to refresh his midfield options, would be a logical destination for a player of Tonali's quality. City have mastered the art of calculated squad building, and a technically gifted midfielder who can control tempo, break up play, and contribute in both phases of the game fits their profile perfectly. Then there's Manchester United, a club desperately trying to rebuild their midfield dynasty and return to the summit of English football. Under their current management, United have shown they're willing to invest heavily in the right players, and Tonali certainly fits that category. The midfielder's agent seems well aware of this interest too, practically name-dropping these clubs in his interview and suggesting that post-World Cup, if Italy qualify and Tonali shines on the biggest stage, these elite clubs will come knocking. Riso's confidence is almost brazen. He stated, "I think he's the Italian footballer with one of the highest values in the world," before adding, "Everyone is waiting for the World Cup, then 1,000 scenarios will unfold, but it all kicks off after the World Cup." That's essentially a public declaration that Tonali and his team are keeping all options open and actively anticipating interest from football's elite. For Newcastle, this must feel like a slap in the face. They stood by Tonali during his 10-month betting ban, they've integrated him back into the team, and this is the thanks they get? An agent publicly positioning his client for a move away before he's even completed 2 full seasons at the club? Chapter 3. Newcastle's Dilemma and the World Cup Factor. So where does this leave Newcastle United? Well, they're in quite the predicament, aren't they? On one hand, they have a supremely talented midfielder under contract until 2028, which gives them significant leverage in any negotiation. On the other hand, they have a player whose agent is publicly treating them as a stepping stone, which could create an uncomfortable atmosphere and potentially unsettle the dressing room. Newcastle's project is ambitious and well-funded, but they're still in that transitional phase where they're trying to convince elite talent that they're a destination club, not a departure lounge. The World Cup factor adds another fascinating dimension to this whole saga. Italy, as we know, failed to qualify for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, which was a national embarrassment for the four-time champions. Now they face a playoff route to the 2026 tournament in the USA, Mexico, and Canada. They'll need to overcome Northern Ireland first, then face either Wales or Bosnia and Herzegovina to secure their spot. It's far from guaranteed. But if Italy does qualify and Tonali produces the kind of performances on the world stage that his agent is banking on, his value could skyrocket even further, and those links to Manchester City and United could become concrete offers. Riso is clearly gambling on this scenario. When asked directly if City or Arsenal would be hot on Tonali's heels after a successful World Cup, he responded, "I don't know, but it's very likely." That's about as clear as an agent can be without actually tapping up clubs directly. He's essentially put the football world on notice. Watch Tonali at the World Cup and be ready to make your move. For Newcastle, this creates a ticking time bomb situation. Do they try to tie Tonali down with an improved contract now, removing any talk of transfers? Do they set an astronomical price tag that would deter even the wealthiest clubs? Or do they start considering whether it might be better to cash in while his value is high rather than keep an unhappy player whose camp clearly has their sights set elsewhere? So there you have it, folks. Sandro Tonali's agent has basically confirmed what many suspected. Newcastle was never the final destination, just a very expensive pit stop on the way to football's elite clubs. Whether the Magpies can convince Tonali and his team otherwise remains to be seen. But right now, Manchester City and Manchester United must be watching this situation with great interest. What do you think Newcastle should do? Should they sell while his value is high, or fight to keep him and prove they're a big club in their own right? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and while you're down there, smash that like button if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you're first to know when we drop more transfer news and football drama. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.